Welcome to Lesson 05. Let's talk honestly about iptables-translate. The autoconverter does exist, and for roughly 75% of trivial filter rules it just works. But 20% come out literal but suboptimal, 4% look right and silently aren't, and a small slice simply refuse. Treat its output as a starting point, never the finished product. So here's the map for the next 40 minutes. 4 skills. First, the 2 flavors. Iptables-translate for one-liners off stdn and iptables-restore-translate for full rule sets in save format. Second, what it actually does well, standard filter matches, the mechanical 75%. Third, where it breaks. Ipset references, custom chains, GOAP, hash limit. And fourth, the workflow. Auto-translate as scaffolding, then review, refactor, review again, then ship. Let's start by separating the 2 interfaces, because they share an engine but serve very different jobs. iptables-translate takes a single rule from argv or stdin, perfect for experiments, doc examples, or piping iptables, when you're poking at one chain. iptables-restore-translate works on a full save file and emits a complete nftables config, chains, and all. That second one is your production workflow. The first is your scratchpad. So where does the tool actually earn its keep? Roughly 75% of a typical rule set, the boring, well-behaved majority. Single port accepts, source IP drops, multi-port lists collapsing into NFT sets, contract state matches, interface filters, even straightforward DNAT and SNAT. All of these translate cleanly. One iptables rule to one NFT rule. For this class of work, the output is correct, idiomatic, and safe to paste straight into your draft config. The other 25% is where things get interesting, and there are 5 failure modes you need to recognize on site. Ipset references translate to syntax that compiles against an empty set, silent pass-through in production. Custom matches like GOIP or hash limit either error out or emit garbage. User chains come through unoptimized, no vmaps, no merging. Every rule gets a counter keyword whether you want it or not. And the tool defaults to the IP family, quietly forfeiting the init unification you actually came here for. Each one demands a human fix. Here's what that human fix actually buys you. On the left, 50 lines of mechanically valid output, 3 near-identical rules for the office subnets, 3 more for the block list, every line carrying a counter it didn't ask for. On the right, the same firewall after a human pass, 2 named sets, a port vmap, the inet family, 25 lines. Same intent, half the surface area, dramatically easier to audit. That's why translation is step 1 of 5, not step 5 of 5. So let's name those 5 phases. Step 1, auto-translate. 5 minutes, and you've got a starting artifact in Git. Step 2, diff against intent. 30 minutes reading every rule against the original to catch silent failures. Step 3 is the real work. An hour or 2 refactoring into sets, named meters, and the inet family. Step 4, peer review by another senior, non-negotiable. Step 5, stage on a non-prod box with synthetic traffic before you ever touch production. Skip any one of these, and you're shipping a broken firewall. Now, why is that workflow non-negotiable? 3 structural reasons. First, the converter is mechanical. It produces literal valid output, but it's iptables thinking dressed in nftables syntax. Sets, maps, intervals, the inet family, none of that gets auto-discovered. Second, failures hide as success. An ipset reference can silently become an empty match, and the rule set still compiles. Third, debt compounds. A verbose 50-line auto-output becomes an unauditable 200 lines by year 2, while the refactored 25-line version stays readable as it grows. So here's the cheat sheet. Print it, pin it, whatever works. The left column is safe. Protocol, ports, interfaces, addresses, contract states, basic verdicts. Translate, glance, move on. The middle column compiles fine but deserves a second look. Custom chains, log prefixes, nat, limits, marks, and your inet family choice. The right column is where the converter quietly lies to you. Ipset, goip, hash limit, recent, string, time, anything xtaug flavored. Those you rewrite by hand. Time to put that cheat sheet to work. 3 drills increasing in depth. First, 20 minutes. Translate a real saved rule set and just read the output critically. Mark what's clean, mark what isn't. Second, 30 minutes on the silent failure case. Convert an ipset rule, apply it, then send actual traffic from a supposedly blocked IP and watch it sail through. Third, the full hour. Take a 50-line auto-translation and refactor it down to 25 using sets and the inet family, with counters matching exactly before and after. Before we wrap, 5 failure modes worth burning into memory. Every one of these has shipped, every one caused an outage, deploying auto-output as is, trusting the trivial-looking one-liners, skipping the diff phase, refactoring mid-conversion, and ignoring counter-pollution on hot paths. The fixes are mechanical. Treat auto-output as a draft commit, cross-reference against the trust matrix, run synthetic traffic, separate translate from refactor into 2 commits, and strip counters from non-debug rules after review. So that's lesson 5 in one line. The converter is a scaffold, not a finish. You've got the 75-24-1 verdict, the 5-step workflow, the trust matrix, and the 5 traps. Enough to ship a translation safely and know exactly where to look when it bites. Next up, lesson 6, the nftables-only superpowers. Sets, maps, intervals, concat, vmaps. The features iptables literally couldn't do. That's why you bothered migrating in the first place. See you there.